Makwetla winds it down on Africa World Hour, 9 to 10 p.m.
And that's exactly what we are doing. 9 minutes to go before the end of the program. But we do end with a very important political development in South Africa. It's been the subject of much discussion. The South African Communist Party saying its decision to remove African National Congress Chairperson Gwede Mantashe from its Central Committee is solely because of his non-attendance of important meetings without any explanation and apology. The decision follows the SACP's plan to contest the 2026 local elections independently, a move that has sparked sharp debate within the ANC while escalating tensions within the Tripartite Alliance. Mantashe, long-term SACP member and current Minister of Mineral and Petroleum Resources, downplayed the dismissal. For more on this, we're joined now by the SACP spokesperson Mbulelo Mandlana. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Mr. Mandlana.
Good evening to you, Chairperson.
I'm sure you've been asked this question before. Is it politically motivated in terms of the disagreements you are having with the ANC over the political landscape we currently face, the decisions that it's taken? Given the various reactions out there, do you consider those questions a fair comment? Do you think that people would not think that?
We do not think that the expectation that the Communist Party will act out of its normal processes simply because there is a public outcry about the changes that are happening in the alliance. The expectation that we should therefore desist from our normal processes is unfair. The Communist Party has always acted in this manner when any of its leaders are no longer available to serve, as it is in this case with Comrade Gwede. Decisions have been taken historically to replace them and to change them because we consider a leadership position in the Communist Party to be a privilege. When it is not treated with the kind of decorum that it is required for that kind of privilege, it means that the comrade must really no longer have the privilege to continue.
Just to, to supplement the knowledge of those who don't know, past examples of leaders within both the SACP and the ANC who have been asked to step aside, take a minute because they have not displayed the requisite respect, as you say, for the Central Committee?
Well, we've had maybe not a direct comparison, but in the early 90s, for example, you've had a mass resignation of certain members of the Communist Party and Central Committee, for example, President Thabo Mbeki himself, a number of other comrades in the early 90s who left the Communist Party because of their personal decisions. And a lot of them neglected duty and they ended up automatically falling off in the leadership structure. So this is not necessarily new.
So,
but then, of course, the comparison cannot be made.
As you say, in the past, this was more an elective decision. And you have said to reach this point is because you have received no response back for the questioning of the behavior, the raising of concerns. Just how far back are we looking at? And can you just provide examples of the deliberate, because it sounds deliberate, ignoring of the sounding of alarm or concern at lack of attendance for very important meetings?
Well, we cannot necessarily speak for him, Comrade Gwede. We all know he is a person who is very much capable of doing that. The only thing I can do, and the only thing the Communist Party can do from our position, is really to explain, as you ask questions, about the motivation for the decision that was
Which
taken.
is
The
exactly
decision
what
is,
I'm doing. Which is exactly what I'm doing, because you're saying
yeah,
you cannot speak for him. You spoke about leaders who themselves took the decision, but in this case, the SACP took the decision because you said, "Look, let's give him space. He clearly has a lot on his hands, so let's just lighten the load." So all I'm just asking is for examples on days, incidents on which he did not attend, in which he did not heed concerns,
okay.
warnings for the very reason you have taken this action.
Sure. Yes, if you were listening and following the press conference yesterday after the Central Committee, the General Secretary did say there was more than a couple of reaching out incidents from the leadership of the party to understand the reasons for non-attendance and non-participation. And those attempts were met with no cooperation from his side. Other
And
than that,
I say this with respect, Mr. Mandlana. I'm sure you realize that. So this is a different audience, and I wouldn't want to presume to interpret for them what was said. So we're just asking for factual information on,
sure.
on 10
Uh,
occasions he did not attend these
the,
meetings.
oh
We
yes,
reached out to
oh
him.
yes.
He did not
The
respond, and it
requirement.
showed lack of respect.
Okay, all right. Oh yes. Oh, because of the point you were making about the nature of the audience, maybe let me put it like this. The requirement constitutionally is that a Central Committee member of the Communist Party cannot miss 4 Central Executive Committee meetings. In a year, we have 3 in terms of the constitution of the party. Comrade Gwede has missed more than 4.
So in a year
And
in a year, let's say 2 years or year and a half, because you say there's 3 in a year. So
yes,
he has, from what you're saying, missed 4. So basically, for a year and a half, he has not attended Central Committee meetings of the SACP, and
that's the obvious implication, ma'am.
so
Yes, indeed.
that's back to back.
That's back to back, not just missing. To miss a Central Committee is not a problem, but not to act to submit an apology so that it can be recorded that you had intended to attend. But when you make no apology and no direct interaction with the meeting, it has a different kind of implication.
And there's agreement from him that he has indeed missed 4 of the what we call
Central Committee,
meetings that he should have been attending.
yes. If not attending, present an apology.
Okay, no, I'm just trying to establish. So, this, do you think it'll have any impact on the relations between the SACP and the ANC? As you say, it's purely procedural. It's nothing personal. For over a year and a half, Gwede Mantashe, as a Central Committee member, has failed to attend Central Committee meetings, has not even said a word. And I'd imagine that this would also suggest that even in places where he met with authorities, where he could have given explanations on these compulsory meetings, there was no move to even explain his presence.
Indeed, which is why as part of the explanation of this decision, the General Secretary yesterday did specify the overtures from the leadership to get to understand and how those overtures were met with non-cooperation.
Okay, so realistically speaking, do you think that there will be no broader political implications rather of this decision?
Without trying to predict as a Sangoma would, but as the Communist Party, we don't believe that the actions or consequences of the actions of the Communist Party on an individual will have profound organizational implications. We don't believe that will be the case, especially if you consider the fact that Comrade Gwede himself has not reacted to this decision with outright rebellion. On the contrary, he has conceded that more than anything else, he might have been at fault here, and we don't think on the consequence of as a consequence of that we would have crisis.
Mr. Mandlana, I must say I don't think it takes a Sangoma. I think it takes a strategist. But just very briefly and finally, do you anticipate it would have an impact on the alliance as a whole?
It would be naive to say that we can guarantee that it will have no impact on the alliance. But it is also important that when I answer that question, I must also say the alliance is already in troubled waters, as it were, because, for example, the Secretary General of the ANC in the recent times has been making direct attacks on the Communist Party, despite, for example, the president articulating positions that are different from him.
Okay.
So in that way, if you put those two things, yeah, okay, that's fine.
All right. I do thank you. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. There is the SACP spokesperson speaking to us, Mbulelo Mandlana, and it's now 3 minutes past 10. Up next, Shailen Dukumana with African Diaries.
Get Channel Africa